Hello, you're listening to Over the Oxer podcast with Tracy Cole for all things to do with the mind for equestrians. Hello, and if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you didn't realise it goes out on YouTube as well, do have a look. The YouTube one, you can probably see a background behind me that you think is kind of one of Zoom's backgrounds, but it's real. We've got a bit of a storm brewing, I think. Anyway, today we are talking about something that a lot of people do. I do. It's when your mind won't switch off. It's that constant rumination over and over and over. So it touches most people. Most people have had this at some point in their life. Riders, coaches, doesn't matter what level. But even if we don't have a word for it, it happens to us. And what's even kind of worse is it doesn't have to be a real something. It could be something that hasn't happened yet. It's called perseverative cognition. Perseverative cognition. Big name that I can hardly say. It's a simple concept. Your mind just won't quieten down, and you get stuck in these constant loops of worry, or you're replaying something you said or something somebody else said, or replaying mistakes, or you might be anticipating something that could go wrong. And whether you're in the saddle and you're doing it, or you're prepping for a ride, you're tucking up and so on, or you're used to lying awake at 2:00 in the morning and it's going round and round in your head, then this is your episode. So you know what it feels like, I'm sure. It doesn't matter how much training you've done if you're thinking about it in an equestrian context. Your mind is running at 100 miles an hour, and usually it's disaster scenarios, or it's something that you know you need to be mindful of and you don't want to forget, so you keep telling yourself over and over and over. So it's not just simple overthinking, this perseverative cognition. It is that tendency to go over and over and over, constant loop after loop after loop, and sometimes long after the trigger's gone. So if it was a conversation, for example, or it was a ride, you're still thinking about it days later. And as we know, it's mentally absolutely exhausting, but it also keeps our body in that stress response. Now, as I mentioned previously, it doesn't need something real to keep going even. It can just feed off thoughts. So as we know, thoughts aren't real. So put a thought in there, add a bit of worry, and you've got the perfect storm. Your brain and your body, though, do respond to those thoughts as though they were happening right now, in the moment. So in some people, your heart rate will be up. Your muscles will be tense. You can't focus. Your body is stuck in something that it really thinks is happening and really thinks is real. And so in NLP, we would say this is running a strategy that doesn't serve you. You're kind of anchored in to those thoughts or situations and stress responses. But the good news is, from an NLP perspective, that any strategy that we run, whether that's a habit or it's something like these thought processes that loop round and round, anything at all like that, we can undo. We can interrupt and we can rewire it. So just for a moment, think about a time when your thoughts really did spiral and you were safe in that moment. You were probably at home. You might have been lying in bed. You might have been sitting on a sofa or in a chair, and you were completely safe, but your body didn't feel it. And if you think about where you were in that moment and what you were thinking about, and can you remember how it felt in your body to feel so tense, to feel that focus and concentration escape you. And if you just breathe for a moment and remind yourself now that you're not in that space and thoughts aren't facts, then there are some ways in NLP of getting rid of these constant thought loops. So one you'll have heard of before, but it's worth a reminder. It's the Betty Erickson sensory shift technique. And you go and you do 5 things you can see, 5 things you can hear, 5 things you can feel, even if it's just the touch, of your clothing or how it feels in your seat. So there's the sensations. Could also be your emotions, of course. And then you do 4 things, then you do 3, then you do 2, then you do 1. And it's a grounding technique. It pulls you into your awareness and out of that imagined future or imagined or recycled past. Another way of doing it is to work with something called future pacing, which is very NLP. And so you ask yourself to think about the future you. And the future you could be 10 minutes from now, could be 10 hours, 10 weeks, 10 years, whatever's most relevant. And you think about that version of you that's taken everything on board that I've said so far and is open to feeling differently. And you say to yourself, what would that calm, resilient version of me be doing and thinking right now? And you really visualize it. And if you can visualize, that's great. If you're not good at visualizing, just imagine yourself kind of plonking yourself inside that body of that future you, where you do feel calm and resilient and stress-free. Imagine it that whatever you're thinking about is over and done with. And you keep imagining yourself stepping into that version of you, almost like putting on a suit of clothes that you actually embody that future version of you. And it really reinforces the shift, which obviously is key for a lasting change, but you may need to do it several times and you may need to repeat it several times. Another way to think about it is to have what I'm going to call a worry window. This is to tell the mind that you can worry away. You, in that time frame, let's say it's 10 minutes, you can worry to your heart's content and you can loop and loop and loop and loop. And you can do it in 2 ways. You can either say, right, I'm going to give myself the 10-minute worry window and then name your specific time. And you might want to write things down so that you don't forget them. So you're saying to your mind, look, I'm writing them down so that if I need them, they're just by my side. Put your notebook to one side and you write them all down. Now, some people, and this is when you're very in touch with your unconscious mind, they tell their minds, and this may be that they do a little self-hypnosis or a little timeline therapy, whatever it might be, they project that ideal, slightly future self, project into that version of themselves, and then they tell themselves, I'm going to worry about this, but I'm going to worry about it at 3:00 in the morning when I'm asleep. So you, unconscious mind, can do what you will, but I'm going to be asleep. So physically, I'm going to be asleep. I'm going to set this in my mind, 3:00 till 3:10. That's my worry time. Go ahead, but I'm going to be out of it. I'm going to be in a lovely deep sleep. And some people find that quite easy to do. Other people find it more tricky without specific techniques. But, at any point in this, if you're doing it more physically, and giving yourself that time, in the evening, right, this is my worry window, my 10 minutes. If your mind loops then at whatever point afterwards, come back to your breath, come back to your notepad, and know we'll handle it later. It will be done. We'll handle it later. So perseverative, I will be able to say it in one go one day. Perseverative cognition definitely happens to all of us, but don't let it hijack you or your writing. Use a little bit of NLP, use some breath techniques, use that familiar stop signal, tell yourself to stop, visualize a stop sign, like a traffic sign, and bring yourself back to grab back control, because that cycling is an indication that your unconscious mind is driving the bus and you want to be the one that drives the bus. I hope this has been helpful. Remember, your mind never needs to be perfect. It just needs direction. Thanks ever so much for listening. Take care, and I will see you again really soon.